Well, hello and welcome to BBRC Britain and English. Well, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about English culture. Now, you may have noticed the weather's changed in this country. If you come to England around about April, May time, you'll notice the longer evenings, hopefully better weather, certainly days are longer. The clocks have changed and everything's looking a bit more sort of brighter, and we've got rid of the old winter weather, and actually we're all feeling a bit like going out, perhaps a meal out, and country walks, etc. Now, today I'd just like to talk to you a little bit more about English culture. You've all heard about queuing and everything, and the way we tend to queue, but you might not realise that normally when we go to a restaurant, we don't normally like to complain. You might have seen some comedy programmes which suggest to this effect, people going to restaurants and pubs and bars, and there's perhaps a drink that's not right or a meal which is cold, and they don't really like to complain. And of course, you've got to be careful, because if you go to a restaurant with a group of people who don't want to see you complain, you could actually lose your friends. So that's another thing, perhaps different to other country cultures. So we're quite unique in that respect. So do realise that we tend to be quite different to other countries in the world in many, many ways. Now, you might also be wondering about what's on over the summer, and there's certainly going to be music festivals maybe on. There may be country shows, fetes, etc. Village fetes, usually for charity and things like that. Well, and the agricultural shows and things like that happen in some places in the country. You pay to go into those. See some of the local country produce, and even a few animals as well, and other cottage industries, as I sometimes call them, things unique to the country. Well, you may realise that the English are quite unique in the world in the way we act and the way we do things, and where we tend to be quite respectable in many ways, hopefully most of the time. We tend to always queue for things. We certainly queue for buses and tickets and anything else. Where there's a queue, we tend to join it, as people sometimes say. And also, as you well know, we don't tend to complain an awful lot. Certainly, unlike other cultures in different ways. If you have a meal which is not right, we don't tend to take it back. And sometimes you can lose friends if you're in a group of people and you complain at a restaurant about a particular item or meal. So we're quite careful and guarded about those sort of things. We also tend to always try and be respectful when we go out, clicking up litter and everything else like that. And I would recommend you go to some of the events, not just in the towns, but also the villages as well, to find out what's on. I mean, you may not have ever heard of cheese rolling. What's that, you might say? I think it takes place in Somerset, where they roll cheese down a hill. So there are unique cultural delights you might be interested in knowing about. There's also a very interesting band down that way. I think they wrote a song called Combine Harvester. Look it up on YouTube if you want to. In fact, I'll have to see if I can find a link. And when you're in England, like I say, when it's a nice day, nice weather, you've got time in the evening, and of course it's a light evening until, especially the peak summer, it may well be light until about 9:30, 10 o'clock. But of course that's only going to be in about June or so, because then but normally you'll have enough hours to do what you want to do, go for a nice walk, climb the peaks or whatever else you want to do. You may also find that you want to go to a country pub, like I say, and do enjoy the fact that you can perhaps leisurely sit outside. So there's so many different places, and if you want to know any more, do let me know. The uniquenesses of this country are quite diverse, and depends where you go will also depend on what you'll see. Of course, you'll have different options in cities to what you will in towns and villages. Of course, cities have so much more eclectic selection of pubs and bars, clubs, etc. Some of the towns will be slightly different. You'll have a lot of multicultural element now in many towns and cities as well. But if you want the good old English country pub, certainly you'll find one of them in most towns and villages. Well, the last few sessions I've had, I have done a few sessions which have been on location. I hope you've enjoyed those. a few different events, including a couple of car shows and things. So I hope you found that interesting. I will try and do a few more out on location, whenever it is. I'm not sure what's coming up, but we'll see. Things are gradually getting back to normal here, but I've noticed that some of the events on are not seeing as many people. They're not as busy. Probably because of the pandemic, people off because of COVID or whatever else, people perhaps even still isolating. And of course, some of the organisers of some of the events are older, as I found out. Of course, and they're more concerned about getting COVID and being having to be in isolation, or ill with it. So we've got to think about that as well. But other things are improving. There are things on, and there's no restrictions now. So hopefully, I'll be able to show you some more examples of English life. Well, thanks for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this short session, and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye now.